Welcome back to the knife studio. I've got this carbon fiber and we need to get right into shaping it down into an actual handle instead of a big, funky, weird block. I've got some marks on the ends where my fittings meet up to it, and I need to oversize it a little larger than the fittings, about 80 to 100 thousandths of an inch, because I'm gonna flute the handle as well, and those flutes are gonna go really deep. Let's get some gear on and then go over to the grinder and start shaping this bad boy down. So I've got the carbon fiber handle shaped, and I've also chucked it up in the lathe with this wheel right here that has 8 little lines going around it. I want 8 straight lines going down the handle, and this is one of the easiest ways that I found for doing this. These lines are going to be for the layout for the fluting. We're going to make a grid, and then we're going to connect the grid, and we'll have nice fluting that is the same spacing all the way around the handle. So this is just a little piece of wood with, like I said, 8 little pieces of pie going around it, and I've got a piece of wood chucked up in here that's just the right level, and I'm using a carpenter's pencil. I can come up here and line it up, turn it and just hold it by hand, line it up to the line on the wood, and then draw my line right down the handle. And that gets a really nice straight line going down the handle. It takes a little bit of setup time. It's a little bit tricky to get the handle kind of lined up. I like to line the handle up with these lines as closely as I can. You can have it just going random, but I feel like it comes out a little bit more symmetric if I get the center of the handle lined up with 4 of these lines instead of it being off a little bit. In order to make a good grid, we need lines going up the handle that go all the way around. Now we need lines going around the handle. There's 8 vertical lines, and I'd like 8 horizontal lines as well for 8 flutes in the handle. I think I'm doing 8 flutes. I haven't decided on that yet, but that's what I'm doing the layout for. So I'm gonna use my height gauge. I've got it zeroed out, and then we're gonna measure how long the piece is. So it looks like it's 3 inches and 750 thousandths of an inch long. Need to divide that by 8 and make our marks and put a pencil in here and then go around it with a pencil in each spot. It's about 7 thousandths of an inch off, which is fine. I've got a nice grid on the handle now, so all we need to do before we can start filing in those grooves is to connect the corners of the grid with a pencil. So we're using the grid and just going from corner to corner all the way around, and that'll end up leaving 8 perfectly spaced flutes all around the handle. Well, there'll be lines, and we'll cut them into flutes. update you on what's going on with this carbon fiber handle. As it turns out, I didn't realize this, but filing on carbon fiber is very difficult. It destroys your files big time. This one, almost brand new, destroyed, completely dull. This one, really high-end Swiss file, destroyed, completely dull. I even used my checkering tool like I did last time. I did a fossil walrus ivory fluted handle, destroyed it in a matter of like a minute. Completely dull. It just abrades at everything it touches. I went and picked up 3 new larger Nicholson files, kind of medium end as far as price range goes. Again, immediately started destroying one. So what I've done is I've gone in with the Dremel tool. We had all the layout done and had the groove started with those other files. I'm cutting it deeper with the Dremel tool just to get the depth, because that's the hardest part. And now I'm going in with these new files and widening out the grooves and cleaning up everything to make it even, because the Dremel tool doesn't make it perfectly even everywhere. Going in, cleaning it up with these, widening it out, and it's working pretty well, but it's still destroying these files. I don't even know if 3 triangular files is gonna be enough, but we're gonna find out.
What tool or trick made the biggest difference for you when you discovered it?
Well, this might be one of those subtle things, but I really love how much of a difference Scotch-Brite wheel made in my life. There's so many little things that I use them for. They're incredible for knife making, and it's so simple and you wouldn't really think so. Especially when it comes to doing clamshells. I'll probably end up using it a little bit to clean up these flutes on this handle I'm working on. I use them for getting domed pins and just for deburring things, and it's one of those tools that is really insignificant, but it has a lot of great uses that you never would have known without one. Next question.
Can we see a pic of your first knife?
Yes, you can. Here it is. It's got a file blade, whitetail deer antler handle, and it's all epoxied together with JB Weld and a little brass pin in the center. First knife. Technically not mine. I sold it to Dad for 20 bucks years ago. Next question.
Where do you get your hardened lineup pins from?
I get them from this little bag in this box right here. No, in all seriousness, I get them from MSC. They have the hardened lineup pins, and they've got them in all sorts of different sizes and lengths, and they are great. Next question.
When did you start?
I started this morning at 7 a.m. Next question. I was 14 years old, so I'm almost 29, so coming up on 15 years ago. Been full-time for almost 11 years. Click this card for more of the story on how I got started in knife making, and to see me work on a similar handle with fossil walrus ivory at the same time. Next question.
What type of oil do you use to temper the blades?
For most of my blades, I use Parks 50, but occasionally I might pull out some transmission oil. But almost everything I do these days, Parks 50 works great, and heat it up to different temperatures depending on how quickly you want it to quench your steel. Next question.
What is the worst injury that you've received while knife making?
The 2 injuries that I think would tie for first place were not too bad at all. The first one, I had a squirrel cage blower like this with a motor on top of it, and there was a disc for just a hillbilly janky disc sander setup sitting right here, and then I got up and I was really thinking, don't bump your knee into it, don't bump your knee into it. Well, I bumped my knee into it when it was spinning, and it cut really deep. Probably should have had stitches, but didn't. It was fine. The second injury, where I could have lost a finger, but it didn't turn out too bad. I was at the surface grinder magnet. I turned it off. The wheel was still running, but to pull the piece off, you gotta use some force to get it off the magnet, and I was not thinking, and I pulled towards the running wheel. Bam, just like that, and gouged way deep into my knuckle in a split second. Again, probably should have had some stitches, but it didn't, and it turned out fine.
Can you show your first knife that you've made?
Yes, I can. Here it is again. Next question.
What's a good handle material for knives?
A good handle material for knives is literally anything and everything you can think of to put on there. I have done handle material that is actually horse stall mat, which I stand on over here at my workbench. Horse stall mat works great for competition knives, so you can use just about anything. Some of my favorites are fossilized walrus ivory, and then ebony and African blackwood, and I'm really enjoying this carbon fiber I'm working with right now. It is really hard to work with, but I think it's gonna be absolutely beautiful on this stiletto. Next question.
What type of steel is the easiest to work with for a starter like me?
Alex steel. I actually don't know how easy or hard he is to work with, so I can't say. That was just the first thing I thought of. I'm gonna say 5160 is one of the easiest steels to work with. It's the most forgiving as far as temperatures and stuff go, or one of the most forgiving anyway. I still use it though because you can get a lot of performance out of it, so I still like to use it on big choppers and stuff like that too, even up to this point. So yeah, 5160, forgiving as far as forging. Did I already say that?
Yep.
5160 is forgiving as far as forging. I'm gonna say it a third time. It's forgiving for forging, and it's kind of forgiving when it comes to the heat treat and stuff. You can get a good blade even if you mess it up ever so slightly, whereas some of the other steels won't give you any variance. Like you go off the path a little bit and you're done. Next question.
What are the most basic tools to get started?
A file and sandpaper. Use the file to shape the knife, and then you use the file as a backer for the sandpaper to sand the knife. In all seriousness though, two of the most recommended tools I'm gonna say you want to get started is some kind of grinder, like a 2x72, that'll help you shape your handles and your blades and everything. This is just the Grizzly, what I started with for like $550. Or if you really want to go advanced, you can go with like the KMG, which is like $1,500 for the basic model, like I have here. The second thing is just some way to heat up your steel. If you want to forge your blade, you know, you're gonna want like a pot and maybe a hair dryer to blow some air into it and some charcoal. I mean, you can start forging just like that. If you don't want to forge, you can jump into it just with a grinder pretty much, and maybe a handheld drill and a drill press, some files, some drill bits, that kind of stuff. Next question.
What are the best ways you can improve your knife making if you've only been doing it for a couple years?
There's two different ways where you can improve on what you're doing. One is just spend more time doing it, develop more patience, and as long as you're trying to keep getting better, time will make you get better. The second way you can improve is by going to as many other sources as you can. John White was a really big influence early on in the way I make my Damascus, even to this day. I took some classes one-on-one with Ron Newton, and that Scotch-Brite wheel and those lineup pins I used earlier, totally his thing, plus many other things that I learned from him. I took the Old Washington, Arkansas Intro to Bladesmithing and Handles and Guards courses, and those still affect the way I heat treat and grind blades and shape handles. I also bought just about every center cross instructional DVD they had at the time. And back then, there also weren't any YouTube videos on knife making, so I had to literally reach out to all the sources I could, and those were almost all the sources that were available. A couple books from the library, and that was pretty much all that I had at the time. If you're interested in shortening your knife making learning curve, and you want to draw from my almost 15 years of experience, then send me an email, because we are working, all of us, my family and I are working on a in-depth course that draws from a little bit of everything I've learned. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot, because this course is gonna be like 15, 20 hours long. It's gonna be in detail on how I make a plain carbon buoy. If you wanna stay updated on the development of the course, then email us, learn@royerx.com. Next week, Tuesday, we will not be posting a video. We will be going live Wednesday at 8 Central Standard Time. It's gonna be the first live stream in a long time. The reason being, because here in a day or two, I'm getting ready to go over to China, and I'm gonna be there all the way up until Tuesday. And going to a knife show over there. It's gonna be super cool. I'm gonna get back and we're gonna do a live stream, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, Wednesday. Be there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the live stream. Bye-bye.